Hello friends, welcome back to the Raven Moon Oracle. I'm Rayo, and today I've got a fun video that I wanted to share. I took a little bit to figure out what I wanted to talk about for this one as I was kind of trying to come up with a topic, but I finally settled on something that I'm excited to share with you, and that is how I do tarot forecasting for myself. So it's something that you can do for yourself, but it's actually pretty easy, and this is a reading that I've used many times on my channel. It's one I have on my Etsy shop that you're more than welcome to get into that way, but with this I wanted to what tarot forecasting is what I'll usually do on my birthday every year. So on my birthday, I will sit down with my tarot decks, whichever ones I'm usually picking, but I have a kind of a set grouping of cards. I call it the Kim Krans reading at this point. But I'll sit down with these cards and get a spread for what my year is going to look like the year ahead of me. So I've done this inconsistently before, but I did it for my 29th birthday and now for my 30th birthday. And I want to kind of share what I've done, how the reading looks, and then how that reading has shown up in my life as I kind of go back and review things for it. So when I'm doing this spread, usually what I'll do, I'm usually using the work of Kim Krans. So I have the tarot deck, the Wild Unknown, that I'll get 4 cards from. I use the Archetypes deck and the Alchemy deck and then the Animal Spirit deck. So what I'll usually do first is I grab the Archetypes deck, and this is what I have for my theme. I use this, you'll see this deck pretty frequently for me, that I use it for a theme for a reading overall, the overall picture, kind of the big overarching deal, what's kind of going on, right? So I use it to see what the theme is for that year specifically, so my 29th year, my 30th year. And then now that I have the Alchemy deck, I've added this deck in and a card from this one specifically for this reading to show how that energy, what I'm transitioning through, what energy I'm changing with. So I'll show you the pictures from my 29th reading spread, and then you'll see the card, the Alchemy deck, missing because it didn't exist at the time, and then for the 30th and kind of how that was. And then after that I use the Wild Unknown tarot deck. Where's that at actually? I'll grab that real fast. There we go. Grab both of those. So I'll use the Wild Unknown tarot deck and get 4 cards from that, one for each quarter of the year. And then I will get a clarifying card, which can either be advice or more specific themes that I'm paying attention to or working through with the Animal Spirit deck as a secondary kind of card for that quarter specifically. So the way it ends up looking, I'll have a picture up here and stuff. We have that card on top and or 2 cards once we have the Alchemy deck added in there, and then 1 card for each quarter. And I usually start it, since my birthday is towards the end of the month of August, I'll start it for the month after. So my birthday is August 25th, so the first quarter for me starts in September. So it's September, October, November, and then so on and so forth. So for my 29th year, I was going back over and reviewing what's kind of happened. The way I like to use tarot forecasting is just to give me an idea of the overall pictures and the big themes that are going to be happening in my life in the coming time. And so it gives me a good idea for how to work with the energy that might be presenting itself, how to balance. Things do, of course, change because we have free will involved. So if you make a different choice right away in a different situation that you might have otherwise made, then that does change up the energy. But that's why I like to kind of go broad with this and have overall themes. You can actually break this reading down even further if you want to go month by month. So this is just what I like to do, is kind of just do the quarters overall. So with the my 29th year, right, we see for the Archetypes deck right here that we have the stone. The stone was the theme for my year for my 29th birthday. So I turned 29, and then this was the energy of the whole year. So the stone talks about and it's kind of upright or positive form. It's very slow changing. Rocks are things that are around for a really, really long time. They have a very steady energy, and the steadiness was something that was definitely lacking in my life, that I was working to try and find in my life. And change was very slow through my 29th year. It felt like everything was just very slow moving, stagnant in a lot of times, a lot of places. Feels like I had to push through molasses a lot of time to just work through and get anything to move whatsoever. Also with the stone energy, when it's kind of more in its negative form, right, things are being held back. That is that stagnation energy, right? So this is something that I noticed throughout my whole year of my 29th year, where I was like, okay, this is a hard year. There's a lot going on. There's I can't do anything. It doesn't feel like anything's going right. It doesn't feel like anything's changing in the way I want it to. But now that I'm looking back over it, and especially since I'm in now past this year, this energy is already passed, I can see the changes that did happen that were much more subtle than I even realized. So that's stone energy right there as well. So my first quarter of my 29th year, this is in August, starting like September of 2021. So I had the High Priestess with clarification from the Starfish. High Priestess energy, of course, we're talking about our intuition, those deep spiritual things. Those are like deeper paying attention to what's going on internally, our emotions, our intuition, our gut feeling, right? And with this energy, there's a lot of psychic energy that comes from it as well. And especially post birthday, I definitely get into this energy sometimes as well, because it's like, okay, what am I doing? What's the new thing? What's going on? What am I trying to do next, right? In this quarter of time from September to November of 2021, that's when I started my YouTube channel for the first time. I used my intuition very heavily to work through situations with people that were around me and situations that were changing, that like situations that had happened to me where I was like, okay, I don't really want to deal with that anymore. That's not what I want. This is what I don't want to do going forward. And I was really begging for a change. I was like really trying to like figure out what's next. What am I doing? What the fuck's going on, pretty much? What am I supposed to be doing? And that's a lot of High Priestess energy, where it's like I was really trying to dig down deep into myself and figure out, what am I doing? Who am I? What's going on? What's with the people around me? What's with the situations around me? How can I change this? How can I move things and do things differently? And then we come into the next quarter of my 29th year, which started in December. I went to December, January, and February. So December of 2021, and then 2022 of January and February. And I get the Mother of Wands energy for this. So with Mother of Wands, Wands energy being our passion, right? That vitality, that force, that fire inside, right? And the Mother of Wands, or the Queen of Wands in this case, really sometimes you being that person to people, or getting that energy around, right? And when we see the court cards showing up in a tarot reading, it's usually representative of yourself as a person or other people that represent that energy around you. And I think for me, for the Mother of Wands, I was representing this energy for people in my life. A lot of people, as I was kind of going back through like my private Twitter, and the things I was posting, there was a lot of people around me that were struggling a lot. So I was trying to be this Mother of Wands energy to them, mothering them and helping them out, but also trying to keep the passion and fire going. And at this point, I had really found this passion again myself. And that came with discovering BTS, honestly, for the first time. And I'll get into how this journey's progressed for me now, this new path that I'm on. But it helped really spark and rejuvenate my passion for life and what I wanted to do with myself, and just seeing other people, these men my age pretty much. The oldest one, Jin, was also born in 92 like me, and the youngest being born in 97. So around my age, right, these millennial, barely Gen Z men that were really doing things, strong things in the world, that were making a difference in the world. It really helped to reinvigorate me and give me passion back. And that's where I really think this Mother of Wands energy was important in my life. So I began to feel different. Like the energy felt different to me with me being in this Mother of Wands energy. Things just did start to feel different. I didn't know how to go about using this difference in energy yet at the time, but that energy did kind of show up, and I was like, okay, I feel different, but I'm not sure how to do things differently yet. We come into March, April, and May, my third quarter of my 29th year, and we have the Ace of Cups in reverse. And this is when this difference I was feeling in myself was starting to manifest itself in my outside world as well. This is when I stopped posting on YouTube, because I had so many other things in my life going on that I just like wasn't feeling it. My home family dynamic changed a lot during this time. This is the beginning of 2022 specifically, or like not quite the beginning, a little bit into 2022, where I all of a sudden, like, the family structure started to change around me, like my family dynamic, my friends dynamic, like all these things started to shift and move. And it really feels like with this Ace of Cups energy, like everything that filled up my cup, that gave me like love and emotions and energy and stuff, was just dumped right out. All of it dumped out. There's nothing in there anymore. So it's like, all my like romantic options were gone. It felt like at this point, like there wasn't any prospects in that regard or anything that I wanted to pursue. The family dynamic was different. My friend dynamic was different. Not all bad necessarily, but everything that I was used to, the former security net I had, was all gone. It felt like at this point where it's just like, nope, everything you thought you knew, everything you cared about, everything that was mattered to you at the time, that was everything that was your prior structure and everything, dumped out, all gone. Don't have any of that anymore. And this energy continued with into the last quarter of my 29th year with the Four of Pentacles in reverse. Four of Pentacles being Pentacles talking about like our finances, right? Our security, our foundations, our physical reality, and the Four of Pentacles coming in the reverse, right? There's this energy here. Definitely still have them, but there was much more focus on my money struggles at this point where I was just like, this fucking sucks. I can't get a break. It doesn't feel like I can get a break. I don't like feel like I can handle any of this. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't like secure anything. I had like, feels like no security, no foundation. And especially with everything being dumped out emotionally prior in the quarter before, it's like, okay, you don't have any of this. You don't have anything emotional security. And now you don't have any financial, like physical stability, security either. It's like just all gone. But with this time too, especially with Four of Pentacles, it's also Four of Pentacles in reverse talks about like self-protection, right? So I was with this energy, and this is actually pretty recent energy, right? This was just for my birthday, where my birthday hit this past year, right? This is coming into 2022 and right before my 30th year. So June, July, and August of 2022, my birthday being August 25th when I turned 30 was August 25th of 2022 here. And when I was doing research on this, it's the self-protection mode that it talks about. The Four of Pentacles in reverse was definitely what was happening here for sure, where it's like, okay, I gotta just pull these resources that I have. They're very minor and very small at this point, but I gotta just pull what I have all together and stuff, see what I have, see what I can build off of, see what I can not recreate, but create from these like ashes and the rubble pretty much of everything that was. What do I have still? What can I use? How can I protect myself? How can I take care of myself? How can I build stability now? And that's the energy now that I've been working through and taking into now my 30th year when we get into this next tarot spread here. That's the energy where I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know what's happening or what's going on at all, but I'm going to work into this energy, new energy here, and really try and get into protect myself and take care of myself and build something new for myself here. So we come to my birthday and I turn 30. 30 is a big year for a lot of people. We're also in the midst of like Saturn return at this point, right? In astrology, starting around 28, going about till 32. So things definitely change a lot during this time. So now I do a new tarot spread, right? I'm turning 30, so I do a new tarot spread. We finished up the last tarot spread, and this is where I have this all new energy that I'm kind of coming into and working through currently, which I think is really interesting now to also talk about. So I pull another theme card from the Archetypes deck, and this one is Anima Mundi, and I'm immediately like, oh shit, this is going to be a big year. A lot of shit's going to go down this year. Anima Mundi, for those that don't know, where's the book actually? Let me read it. That's the last card in the Archetypes deck. And Anima Mundi is the soul of the world and all that is. So literally all encompassing. Like this is like the big deal. Like this is like the world card in the tarot, if that helps at all for anybody, where it's like, it's the epitome of accept all, reject none. When in light, tending to the sacred details of life. When dark, it's overwhelmed by the bigness of existence. So this is like the big of the big, and this is my theme for the year, and I'm just like, oh shit, what the heck's gonna happen this year? And as I've discovered through working with tarot and journaling about my life and everything, it's like you don't see it's weird to know that something big is happening ahead of time usually. That where something like this big is like, oh, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going to be. But when you're in the day-to-day living the life, right? You're living your existence. You're going through things. It's hard to see the big changes that's happening. It all accumulates into something big, but it doesn't feel big at the time, right? But I get this from my theme card, Anima Mundi, and I'm like, okay, so we're doing big shit this year. Am I in focus? Pretty much. Better. Okay, there we go. And then finally, now that we have the new Kim Krans deck that came out with the Alchemy deck, I was able to add a little bit more energy and knowledge into this reading, the spread I do for myself. Excuse me. And I got an Alchemy card, which how I added it into the spread and what I was talking about with the spread is for it to be the energy I'm changing and transforming through the year. So my 30th year, I'm like, okay, this is the big theme. We're working on this big theme, Anima Mundi here. And how is this energy changing and progressing? Like, what energy am I working through as I'm working towards this Anima Mundi, right? Working through this. So I got the card Winter. And Winter talks about solace, the pause, hermiting. So I'll just read this whole thing because I think it's interesting. So it says, in alchemy, winter comes first. It is the beginning, the origin. As winter casts its blanket of stillness across the land, we naturally turn inward. The mind and heart settle into Earth's darkest season. From this place of quiet, a single flame reconnects us to the mystery of our existence. Sounds like Anima Mundi. And the miracle of the breath. Regardless of when this card appears, it indicates we are suspended in Mother Earth's pause. This is not the time for doing, going, or getting. The alchemist knows winter opens the portal to the divine. The magic is afoot under the surface. In the glimmering snow and sparkling ice, we see winter's water in crystalline form, each droplet a prism into the mystic realm. Don't get caught up in the gloom or isolation of the season. Rather spin towards the sacred light. Spring will come in time. So when I saw this, it definitely felt like that was the energy that I was in the prior year, right? That stone energy, that stillness, that like very slow moving energy. And when I was talking with a friend at one point too, I was really describing how I felt like it was underwater, so I couldn't like take a breath. It was like that right before, it was a pause. So the feeling, it's like where you have the inhale, right? Or the in-between, right? It's the inhale and it's this pause right here, right before you do the exhale part. But it felt like I had exhaled and it was in the pause right before the inhale again. I exhaled everything, all this energy got poured out, the cup got turned over, my financial, like all my security got decimated with the Four of Pentacles. So it was this pause right here before I take another breath. I had exhaled everything and I was waiting to do this inhale. And the energy of winter was very interesting here, where I was like, yes, I get it. That makes sense. I'm like, okay, let's go. I figured that out, that I understand. So where is it at? Oh, here it is. It is said winter is the pause between exhale and inhale. The time when all has released, yet new breath has not been drawn. Notice the qualities of the sacred pause. And that really felt like this point in my life, right? Where it's like, okay, all of my 29th year was the exhale. Everything exhaled, everything out pretty much. We're finishing up this energy a little bit here as I'll get into the breakdown of the time. But the winter was like, okay, everything's exhaled, everything's gone, but I couldn't inhale yet. And this was the energy we're working through, right? So then we start breaking down the spread, right? So this is the energy I'm working through for this whole year, for my 30th year. And so now for September, we have a new card that was representing this whole quarter. I broke it down by the quarters again, right? So we have death in reverse. With the butterfly for transformation. I know I didn't really talk too much about the clarifying animals for the 29th year, but I feel like they were more just advice versus for this 30th year reading, they're really tying in with the card specifically and what it means. It was probably just a difference in how I asked at the time, but I remember now more clearly since it was a recent time for the 30th one, where I was like, okay, I was specifically asking for clarification how it worked out with the card specifically that I was looking at. So for September, October, November, right, my first quarter of my new year, my 30th year, which is about done. Actually, at this point, I'm recording this on 11/29, and we got death in reverse with the butterfly. So this is huge transformation energy, right? This is that finishing up of like everything being decimated and broken down. Like it's literally, I'm like taking everything that I've what's been happening around me, like flipping over every single piece, every single little piece of me, every single thing in my life, reevaluating everything. And also at this point too, it's like, okay, hey, what are we transforming? How are we moving this energy? I think with death in reverse, and it's usually like resisting transformation, but with the butterfly here clarifying it from the animal spirit deck, there is definitely just the like, nope, we're keeping this transformation very internal, very close to the chest here. We're just keeping it a little bit more on the quiet side as we're working through this process here. And when I was doing research on it, I found a description for a reverse death, and I'm like, okay, there we go. That's it. That makes sense with the butterfly specifically. And as I've been working through it specifically now in these past 3 months or so, I definitely have been making moves and changing things and doing new things and like kind of trying to figure out new things. But I think it'll be once closer to the end of once this year has passed, and I'll be like, okay, nope, I really did a lot of transformation in that time frame. In that first quarter of my 30th year, I did a ton of transformation there. And now as I'm looking forward, right, so we're coming into December, January, and February for me, which is my second quarter, and we have strength in reverse with the crocodile. And what this is showing for me, and in terms of how I'm going to use this energy in my forecasting, like how this is forecasted for me and how I'm going to go about being in this energy, right? Crocodile is really talking about stillness and quiet and waiting for that right moment, right? So this makes sense with strength in reverse, right? We're not applying that strength. We're not forcing things. We're being very, very particular about the strength we're using and when we're using the strength. So these definitely help balance each other, like coordinate with each other, right? This reverse strength card and then the crocodile, where it's like, okay, I know I have this strength and power. It's just going to be applying it at the right time, at the right moment, in this stillness, in this time frame. So it's just going to be like, okay, hey, we just need to be We need to be quiet. We need to be calm. And it's going to be a good time for also some rest, right? So reverse strength being like having a lack of strength potentially, but the crocodile also doesn't expend strength when it doesn't need to, right? It has those kind of more hibernation, quiet periods, right? The crocodile, or I think it's alligators, right? When things randomly get frozen over in winter in like Florida, they're right there on the surface where they can still breathe, but they go into this like dormant hibernation state. And especially since for me in the Northern Hemisphere, we're in like kind of that winter time frame, right? And I have winter as one of my big theme cards. It's going to be very advantageous to me, it seems like, to take the time to just be calm and be in a more of a planning stage versus an active doing stage. There's going to be time later, as we'll see in my reading here, where I'm like, I'll have time to actually have a lot of actionable things and actionable times to do those things. Right now, for this third quarter, for December, January, and February, it's going to be a time to just be a little bit more calm and quiet and save my strength, reserve my strength for when I actually really need to apply it later. I won't go further than this, I think, at the time, since I don't, for myself, want to get too far into the energy. I can see obviously what's going to happen, or have an idea what's going to happen. We have the Five of Wands in reverse with the Lamb. And then we have the Daughter of Swords with the Unicorn. So anybody who has access to these decks or can figure out what this energy is, feel free to keep going with it. I kind of know what to expect a little bit, but I also want to just live through it and feel and see how that's going to progress. I don't want to look too further past this next quarter here, but knowing what I know now for tarot forecasting, I think it's important to work with the energy. It's the same thing like any like spiritual practice, right? Where you have a forecast is just like the energy that's around or what can possibly happen, or just these big themes, right? How you work with that energy, how you interact with that energy with your free will is going to be just as important, or even more important, versus what's predicted for you in this case, right? So like an astrology forecast, you know what the planets are doing at a certain time of the year and how that affects things on a whole picture, so therefore, and how it can affect you. So it just brings awareness to you and your situation so you can respond in the best way possible. That is going to be the most beneficial for you. It just gives you an idea for what's happening around you. You ultimately still have the choice for how you proceed in that manner. And I think tarot forecasting is very similar in that regard. I look at the energy and I'm like, okay, that I can kind of expect roughly this, or this is going to be the thing that's kind of going on. And of course, when I need more advice or more knowledge about a situation, more awareness, I can always ask my deck again. I can ask specific questions about specific situations. I can break this down, ask specifically month by month. I could be like, okay, hey, what's specifically going on in December? What's specifically going on in January? What's specifically going on in February now for this next quarter? And I kind of do that anyway with my zodiac videos. But for me specifically, it's like, I like kind of the big picture a little bit and to let life flow as it's going to flow. I don't like to get too far down into it, but I do think it's nice to have that kind of forecast where it's like, okay, here's what to think about as you're moving forward through life. And that's how I like to tarot forecast. So hopefully this video is helpful as I kind of explained through my process and how I looked at everything. You can honestly do this kind of tarot forecasting with any decks at all. You can just kind of build your own structure. This is what I found works really well for me, having kind of these big theme overarching cards and then breaking it down a little bit, breaking it down by quarter. I honestly do recommend all of Kim Kranz's work. You can do this spread specifically with Kim Kranz, or you can break it down with other cards and things if you want. There's lots of good decks out there that are going to kind of cover big themes like the Archetypes deck, and you can use that as your overall picture cards. Of course, there's tons of different tarot decks out there, so you can find a tarot deck that really works for you. Maybe you're working through a specific theme in your life already, or you're thinking about something specific, so you can break it down a little bit with a specific tarot deck. And of course, there's many oracle decks out there that you can ask for more advice from or get clarification on a specific card. So feel free to break down this spread however you want. If you are interested in it and want to use it for yourself, I don't mind. It's not mine specifically. I'm sure other people out there have something similar. But it's one that works really well for me, so hopefully that can help you out if you decide to use it on your own, or you can buy one from me if you want in my Etsy shop, or pay attention to the ones that I have for zodiac readings, and I'll have a yearly breakdown like this specifically, the same kind of spread for each zodiac sign coming up here for the new year for 2023. So however you want to do it, however you want to go about it, whatever is going to be most beneficial for you. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, got something out of it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please subscribe and like down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.